WCLU news coverage of the 2020 general election is brought to you in part by Glasgow Prescription Center.
The Glasgow Prescription Center is proud to be your whole life pharmacy because our goal is to provide the best pharmaceutical and home medical care to every patient that comes in our door. Log online to glasgowrx.com or call 270-651-8889 to find out how Glasgow Prescription Center can serve you.
Welcome today, Sheri, to our program. I'm, of course, here today to talk about Glasgow City Council. But first, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about, before we get into any intricate details, of course, about being on the council, let's talk about you, for those that are listening or watching, to maybe get a little idea about who you are. And, of course, we'll get into why you're running for council.
Okay. All right. I am a mother of 3. And a grandmother of 4. I have been a realtor here in Glasgow for 20 years. Currently, still very active. Wish we had more houses here in Glasgow. We'll get into that a little bit later. I love our town, and I knew when I first came here, 28 years ago, that this is where I wanted to raise my children. I just love our community here.
And so, fast forwarding now to current day, I'm sure that model in your mind has shifted a bit. Whether
Yes.
that's in a positive light or negative light. How would you say that shifted, and does that directly correlate with your I guess, being on the council?
There are a couple of things. I assumed, over the last 20-something years that our community would grow a little bit as far as industries and maybe have better paying jobs that would still support families that wanted to stay in our community so that we could grow in that respect, The people here are so wonderful. Everybody is so passionate about making our community the best that it can be. I know there's some that kind of bump heads, but they still have that passion. And that's kind of why I want to be involved. I have that passion. I want my children to be able to thrive here. I want them to have wonderful things that they dream of. And sometimes that's a little hard facing the fact that we don't have a lot of industry. Hopefully that's going to change over the next year or two. I know we have a lot of things in the works, but that's the negative thing that I had hoped would have already happened, so it's just work in progress.
Sure. So moving ahead, if you are elected this November and obviously begin a second term on the council,
Yes.
What do you think is the most important thing for you? I don't want to say your agenda because I know that you can't single-handedly do anything.
Exactly.
But I think collectively, there are probably some ideas that at least a few of you could agree on. But for you, what do you think is a huge idea that really needs to come before the council, something that needs to be resolved, something, what is that for you?
It was one thing prior to the shutdown with COVID, and since this, everything has happened, my attention has been drawn to our homeless issue. I knew we had an issue. I had no idea how great it was. That need for this community is above anything that I could have imagined. My heart goes out to these people that are, some of them are living literally in a ditch. They're living behind a dumpster behind a building. I passed someone yesterday just before dark, and they had taken the lid off a trash can. They had a backpack and they had a bag on their back, and they were going through a trash can. And it seems like I see that more and more. I really think we need to look I know we have several places that low-income people live, and when I'm talking low income, I'm talking we need places for $275 a month, these people don't make $800 a month, so they can't afford your $650, $700. So we really need to look at this homelessness issue and get something started here. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. They think it's going to bring in vagrancy and things of that nature. We need to get it out on the table. And we need to help the people that are here, and we need to do it now.
Sure. Do you feel like that, you mentioned before COVID, just as a note, what was that thing that you were focused on before COVID?
I think we need help in our community with just lower income housing. We have such a shortage of it, People are constantly looking for places to rent. They're working class people, but they have a kid or two. So in between $600 a month, there is nothing to rent. There's no affordable housing, even if they could buy. There's nothing that they can buy. We just don't have enough. So, and I've kind of done a little bit of research just being at home the last couple of months to try to find out if there's grants out there for builders. I know there are some. It's trying to get some builders on board to maybe find some land that's appropriate, and the government's willing to work with us on it. But we've got to find some of these places, that may not be the house we want to live in, as our dream, but they're needed. And to the people that's looking, it's their dream.
I know a large issue for voters has always been the Glasgow Electric Plant Board. But I think that the issue has certainly evolved in just the last few months, especially now that there's been a lot of court proceedings and things have been decided.
Yes.
So the question really now becomes, do you, first, a very broad statement, do you or do you not think that what's going on at the plant board is conducive for the success of Glasgow? Do you think that the status of that board is okay, or do you think that something needs to happen to that board at least to help things maybe get going?
Well, my hope is that they would work harder on working together. I think if we could see more togetherness and maybe not so much hateful energy, I guess, when they have their meetings, or maybe their tones were a little bit different. Because I think, here's what I think, for most of the people who are affected by bills that they can't pay, let me say this, they think they don't care. Because what comes up across on meeting is a lot of argumentative, angry kind of energy. You don't even want to watch it. So I would hope that they would come together and try to find some kind of common ground, because you're serving our citizens, and it doesn't matter if they're here or there or here. They're all our citizens, and we need to work together. I think in the last year, I had talked with Taryn and Billy Ray about maybe putting out more advertisements to kind of explain things. They have done an amazing job. More advertisements out there to let people know when those hours might hit, Sure. They're giving workshop classes. Sheila's amazing. I mean, they all do a wonderful job in that aspect. But the board needs to come to a more peaceful atmosphere when they're in discussions. And I don't know how they'll ever do that. You can hope for it, but they just need to get down to real business,
Sure.
If it makes sense, do it. And if it doesn't, well, let's don't make a fire out of it, let's just go on to the next thing.
Good deal. All right, well, anything else that I didn't touch on that you felt like you want to mention to anyone?
No, I think we got a pretty good coverage there.
Good deal. Well, we appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you,
Of course,
Brennan.
I wish you the best of luck this November.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Brennan Crane, News Director for WCLU Radio. Thank you for watching this portion of our 2020 election coverage. Visit us at WCLUradio.com and online at Facebook and Twitter for the latest and breaking news updates.